Welcome back to The Line. A group of concerned business owners along Central Avenue sent an email to City Council with a proposal to help make the Central Avenue business corridor productive and safe now that art is done. Now, key to that goal is community policing, a strategy of policing that focuses on building ties and working closely with members of the community. Now, there are 3 parts to the proposal. Amend the city's budget to add $1 million for new bicycle police positions dedicated to Central Avenue business beats. Another $500,000 in grant funding to merchant associations for advertising to bring folks back, and a website called rediscovercentral.com to do that very same thing. And Daniel, after the problems with art and delays, just a fundamental question that's always been bugging me: do we owe these business owners something as a city? It's something seems like we left them hung out to dry with this art thing, and it just hasn't picked up. What do we owe these people?
We owe them a lot, because most of these guys complained about doing art in the first place. Not one of those guys was like, this is a great idea. It'd be different if these businesses ran to the forefront and were like, we want to invest, this is a great thing, and it didn't work. I'd be sitting here saying, you know, it's kind of like playing the market. Your stock went up, your stock went down. The minute the city said we're doing this, all these businesses were like, please don't do this. This is going to be a train wreck. This is going to be a disaster. They forecasted exactly what's happened, and it's come to fruition. We owe them a lot. We owe them a lot. And we not only owe the businesses there, we owe the people who have gone out of business since all this has happened a lot. And I got to tell you, look, nobody at this table is more critical of Mayor Barry's administration than I was. And I've been very complimentary of Mayor Keller. I think he's done some really good things so far as mayor. I like the fact that he's focusing on downtown. I got to tell you, I was having this discussion last night with some friends at the cigar place that I visit, business guys. And, a lot of the business guys are starting to say, forget downtown, go to uptown. Invest in uptown, build uptown, make that the place. Let downtown just go the way downtown's going to go. And these were some pretty positive business guys. And they were not Republican guys also. Some of these were just like, it's just the infrastructure's not there, the buildings are in disarray, the crime is out of control. There's just, maybe just put a fence around downtown and leave it and move everything to uptown and start growing uptown. But downtown's a beautiful place. The one thing I will say that Mayor Keller's got to do is we started this community policing deal downtown by our offices by the Hyatt. And one of the problems that I saw was when they came out with it, like at the press conference, they were like, hey, we're going to have these guys on bikes and out on foot, and they're going to be out from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. And you're like, okay, so crime was good from 8 to 6. At 6:05, people were getting robbed, and so I think there's got to be a little more forethought into this.
Let me work these guys in. That's a good point. And Tom, part of that proposal is actually officers in cars after dark to do this as well. But let's stick with the bike thing at first. How's that initially strike you?
Yeah, it's community policing. So community policing is a good thing, especially along Central. I think the challenges, though, of the West Central area where you have a lot of, new restaurants is very different than the issues on East Central, where you have a lot of, older properties. So trying to address everything in one foul swoop is going to be a very tough deal. But this solutions were proposed by business, and the administration listened, so I think that's a good thing.
That's a good point. Just to make clear, they're talking about their corridors, not just downtown. They're talking about corridors to Louisiana, a much longer stretch of Central when you think about this. So that begs a question, Laura, on Tom's point. Is a couple of bike officers going to be enough? Because they're also going to be deemed to patrol a quarter-mile north and south of Central. So it's not just Central. They need to get in the nooks and crannies that are off Central. It's a bit more of a challenge there. But as a good start, does it strike you as a good start and something to build on?
Well, it's definitely something to build on. I think it's necessary. I don't think it's something that's optional at this point.
Right.
For me, I live on the West Side. I've worked downtown from time to time, and I haven't ever had an issue with downtown. But I've had issues in Nob Hill. And it seems like Nob Hill recently has had where the university student was stabbed or was shot. And then there was another right around the same restaurant called Last Call. There was a girl who was a UNM student who was mugged and actually punched in her car through the window and assaulted that way.
Pretty badly, too.
Very badly.
It wasn't like when you saw pictures of her, she looked like she was
It was pretty gruesome. I was actually flashed in that area, which is so bizarre, but I was flashed by somebody in that area. Well, it wasn't Tom. But it was a few. It was a few years. No, it was a few years ago. But it was shocking, and it was clearly there's an element after dark, especially late at night, and there's a lot of bars in that area. So there's people that are hanging out. there needs to be more focus in that Nob Hill area.
They feel
of
left
things
out right
happening.
now,
Oh,
very much so.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
because
I think-
there was concentration downtown of more police officers. The substation opened in the Alvarado building.
Right.
And Michael, folks in Nob Hill want that same kind of attention because, as Laura points out, it's a fluid thing. The way crime just sort of, it's opportunism. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? And so they're taking advantage of the moment. So the bike thing, does this strike you as a good way to go as well?
Well, they better do something.
Yeah.
And it's probably giving the International District a break from all the bad news. The other population, the other part of that area of the city that we also need to be talking about. I mean, all about business, and business drives many things, but are the residents, the people who live in that area. You know, they need to feel secure in their homes. They need to be able to go shopping. They need to be able to feel like they can go out and go for a walk. They need to that they're safe in their homes and in that community. So let's not forget the residents as well.
That's right. Tom, your expertise of PR, I'm curious what you make of the idea that, you know, a campaign can bring folks back to Central, so to speak. And is that a doable thing, or have habits solidified going other places? It's hard to get people to change their ways on things
Yeah,
sometimes.
but you can get people to change their ways.
Okay.
You know, what they have to be able to do is to ghost the issues. So, and which they're doing a good job of right now. So, ghosting is if you have high crime, then you show the increased Albuquerque Police Department presence. And so, you know, the ghosting is going to be one of the aspects. I think it's one reason why the Albuquerque Police Department is out there as opposed to Visit Albuquerque. You know, it's not an area that's ready for prime time for visitors yet because they still need to get things safe.
Sure. What, you know, somebody made a good point. You look up and down Central, things are happening.
Oh,
there are some good things that are happening.
There are a lot of great investment. You know,
Right.
that west end of Albuquerque, I think, is really sharp.
West Downtown's very
Yeah, West
interesting.
Downtown. Yeah,
You know,
It's
and
a
I
lot
don't
of
think
fun.
we can have a conversation about this without offering our condolences to the Lobo baseball player.
Thank you.
That was shot and killed at Imbibe. You know, it's things like that that generate this to the forefront. My office is down by downtown, and you know, we also kind of, I think we're moving towards possibly not wanting to really spend our money and time trying to attract New Mexicans to downtown. You know, it's filled during the day with people that are down there for conventions, and I mean, we have a great convention hall and civic center down there. That open area plaza by where they're doing the concerts now in the summer. You know, I really think that there's a move from these guys, not so much to get you and me to drive down there to go hang out on a Friday night, as it is to make it a destination spot for people to come in for conventions and meetings and gatherings and utilize the facilities.
Yeah,
and
but it's
stay
not
down.
ready for prime time.
I agree,
It's
but
not ready
I
for
think
prime
that's the idea of what they're trying to do, because I think the train is gone at trying to convince people from the west side that it's now safe to drive down and hang out on Central. I think there's enough stuff that is growing in other areas of the town that people have picked.
That's a
their
key
spots.
point. That's a key point. There is that kind of growth. Your needs can be met, so to speak, if it's about beer, coffee, food. Maybe not entertainment so much. Live entertainment's still a downtown thing, but we'll see how that all goes. We talked to 3 people who have businesses along Central Avenue about what they want to see from the city in terms of police and more. Find that on our New Mexico in Focus Facebook page.